So let's talk about nails for a second. Mo and Candy Thunder ran into each other at the nail salon the other day. And Candy Thunder, at the previous visit to this nail salon, had a terrible experience.
Did she really?
She did. Like, the guy was just was in a hurry, didn't give a shit.
That is so annoying.
Was rough with everything, and they were falling apart like days later.
I've had that happen.
So this time she goes back in, and the gal who she ended up with looked at her nails and said, "Did you have those done here?"
Good.
So she made it right.
Redemption.
The time that you two ran into each other there, this gal had crazy attention to detail.
That's amazing. She get her name?
She did.
Okay,
I can't remember her name. I don't know that I would be able to pronounce the name.
I don't know if I would. I don't know anybody's names. I only know Vicky.
Well,
because she does Dave's pedicures.
Oh, is that her real name, Vicky?
She says her name's Vicky.
Okay. I'll buy it.
And I imagine she spells it with an I instead of a Y.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably an X in there somewhere too.
Oh, I would love that. I would love an X in my name.
I was in high school jazz band with a guy named Shin, and it was Xin.
I love that.
So we need to make a T-shirt that says XIT.
You should.
I mean, who wants to walk around with what my daughters would say are ratchet nails?
Ratchet nails.
Ratchet nails. I don't even. That may have been like 2 years ago. That's not.
Yeah,
a cool
I feel
term
like
anymore.
ratchet was around when I was in high school, maybe, but I don't think it went anywhere. It just may not be the cool thing now.
Yeah, I don't know what they would call it now.
I don't know either. But we can go with ratchet.
They say things like "no cap," and I'm like, "No what?"
I don't know what that means.
I'm like, "You don't want me to wear a hat?" That's not what they mean.
I did look up a Gen Z dictionary, and sometimes I will text one of my friends just like so I can kind of keep up on it. But it's been a while, so I don't think I could tell you anything.
Okay. If we have time after this story,
I'm sorry.
We may have to do that and start incorporating some terms because I feel like our audience will probably benefit from some of that knowledge.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
At least you know what your kids are saying.
Yeah.
Okay, we ready?
I'm ready.
Am I the asshole for missing my father-in-law's funeral after my mother-in-law booked my husband first class, but me economy? Me, female 31, and my mother-in-law don't have a close relationship. Okay, there were enough occasions where we needed to throw red flags or say red flag.
Yeah.
That we created an animated red flag.
Ooh, I'm
overlay.
excited. I did see this.
Okay, so this is the perfect moment to say mother-in-law don't have a close relationship. Just go ahead and cue him. Leave him up for now. We'll see what happens. She's civil towards me, but can be a bit passive-aggressive at times, and we tend to disagree oftentimes. We live in a different state. Father-in-law passed away suddenly, and mother-in-law told me and my husband to come attend the funeral. She booked our tickets to fly to her state. But the issue started when my husband told me that we couldn't sit together in the plane because his mom had booked him a first-class ticket while I got economy. I was flabbergasted by this. I tried asking him why, but he urged me to suck it up and we'll talk about it later. In that moment, that particular moment, I felt so much humiliation and contempt. I felt like she was treating me as less than, even in her hard times. I decided not to go, just to go back home. My husband was shocked by my decision to go home and tried to convince me to just go, but I declined. He went alone, and I ended up missing the funeral. He was livid, just calling me and texting nasty things, calling me petty and spoiled. He said that I should be grateful his mom paid for my ticket to begin with, then said she doesn't owe me a goddamn thing. I argued about how she could have just booked us both in economy if money was an issue, but he called me pathetic for thinking about it when his dad just died. He said it was cruel what I did, and that his mom and family will never forget that I missed the funeral over ridiculous reasons. Am I the asshole for going home over this? ETA. One of the reasons I didn't settle for the economy ticket was because I wanted to sit next to my husband and support him. He sobbed the whole ride to the airport, and I didn't want to leave his side. I was shocked when he told me we couldn't sit together, and how he said it like he had no issue with it. Okay, hang on. I think we're just now realizing that she found out that they weren't sitting together when they got to the airport?
Maybe?
So this wasn't a discussion that happened ahead of time. This was like, you're boarding the plane, and oh, by the way, we can't sit together? Is that right? Let me back up and make sure.
This was hard to sit through while you were reading it. I wanted to pop off the whole time. And there's so much to pop off about.
You can absolutely pop off. Okay.
So they are married, these two.
They are married.
Wow. Rough.
Which becomes an immediate complication because husband right now is like, screw you. And my whole family says screw you too, and we'll never forget it. How do you come back from that?
I mean, this is so good. Like, I gotta say, I hate everyone in the story, but I love them because this is exactly the drama I live for. Like, this is like, so, like there are landmines of drama everywhere, and everybody's wrong. That's all I'll say to start. But you can start, and how about I follow your lead?
I don't see a path to success here.
No.
There's no path to success. And I hate, maybe I'm jaded and I've gotten to this point where I've read so many stories that there's just so much shit wrong with where I'm like, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And I'm failing
you don't
to
see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I don't. With this, I don't. And more, I don't now. And I'm less apologetic about saying you're screwed.
Yeah, this is bad.
Right. I mean, if there is a resolution here to be had, I can't see it, and it's going to require so much work that really looking at the value of your marriage comes into play. How long have they been together? Like, how much do they love each other?
For sure.
What do they have in common? Is it worth the fight that you're going to have to endure to do this? And even if you do all of that work, you still have the uphill climb of mother-in-law and whatever issue she had in the first place. I did it. I dropped the F-bomb. Whatever issue she had in the first place that made her split the tickets up is still an issue. Even if the wife does all this work to try to make it up with the husband and let the relationship function. Like, what if this were happening to you? What would you do, Mo?
Okay, first of all, I would have just paid for the first class. Like, just get your credit card out and pay for first class. If that is not an option for you, get a hold of a friend and just handle it. You know what I mean? Or put it on the credit card and tell him he's going to pay for it later. You're not dealing with it. That's my opinion. I would have just immediately been like, hey, you must have forgotten to put me on first class. No big deal or anything. I just went ahead and got it on my own. We sat by each other and I gave him plenty to keep his mind occupied while he was not thinking about his situation. I mean, but the thing is, like, this is so petty. It's like petty level 1000 for everyone. I feel like your husband was put in kind of a tricky position. He probably wasn't even thinking straight that there was some options and didn't know how to support you. But it still, to me, is pretty crappy. And your mother-in-law, her problem isn't with you. Her problem is with something that happened in her childhood that she's not resolved. And you're probably never going to make friends with her. You got to sign off on that one. It's over,
There are so many instances where mother-in-laws like baby their sons so much and do it to the detriment of their relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much attention given to the son and almost like the negative for balance to their wives or their spouses or girlfriends or whatever it is, that it gets really creepy.
It's like that Oedipus complex type stuff.
We see it, unfortunately, all the time. It's a very freaking real thing.
It is.
Oh, my God. You mentioned something whenever you were talking about how you would handle it that is startling because you would have just jumped in and fixed it to where you were both sitting together. Immediately. Yeah. No hesitation at all. Number one, that never popped into my mind because we didn't read anything about it here. Why didn't that pop into OP's mind here?
Yeah.
Why wasn't that an option to just fix it immediately?
Yeah.
And second point that I noticed while you were talking here was that if the husband was cognizant enough to be a dick about it, he was cognizant enough to know what was happening.
Yeah, he dropped it on her.
Was wrong.
Yeah, he knew.
He knew that it was wrong, and for whatever reason, just decided to be a dick about it instead of saying.
Yeah, he probably was like, he knew she'd freak out, which is crappy. He should have told you.
Yeah. If they had known in advance, they probably could have made different arrangements to sit together. So
totally.
Either he just couldn't deal with it and said, come what may, which this is what came, or wasn't aware until the last second and then just rode with it. But then after the fact, this is the biggest problem that I had with it. Yeah. He made his choice.
He totally did.
After the fact, he made his choice, and instead of saying that was really shitty, I understand, and I'm trying to talk with my mother to figure out why it happened and blah blah blah. None of that was involved at all. He was like, "Mommy,
she didn't
continue to send me in first class, Mommy. My wife can go herself, Mommy."
And your mother-in-law won when you didn't go. Like, you got to learn to win the game or don't play it. You know what I mean? Like, you signed up for this. You know what's going on. And you have to, here's another little stoic philosophy. Look at every challenge as an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, okay, here's a challenge she threw my way, but I'm better than her. So I'm going to get that first class ticket. And hey, by the way, husband, you need to get your mom in line. And at some point he does. He needs to step up to the plate and say, hey, you need to quit pulling bullshit with my wife, or we're not going to be around, or whatever that. We talked about boundaries before. He needs to have a boundary with her, but he also needs them with his wife, and they all need to communicate. And it seems like they don't.
You make a very good point that she let the mother-in-law win. Her going home wasn't her winning. She didn't show the mother-in-law anything.
Yeah, she became the enemy of everyone.
She became the enemy of everyone, and the mother-in-law was like, finally, I got them apart.
Yeah, and also, here's the other thing. Ooh, your mother-in-law is good because she can deny it all day long that she did it on purpose because she is grieving. She didn't know what she was doing. It was a total mistake. But, you know, you want to tell people, oh, she did it on purpose because she's petty. No one is going to believe you. Nobody. You didn't stand by your husband's side while he was grieving his father. You're always the asshole in this one. You're just always, even though she's also an asshole, even though your husband's an asshole, everybody sees you as an asshole.
Dude.
Don't you think?
Mother-in-law is some kind of criminal mastermind, apparently.
And they always are when they're that. I mean, because they're that. She's been like manipulating his life and probably her father. I mean, maybe he got out early and it was a good thing. Do you know what I mean? I mean, she's probably a terrible woman.
This is early parole for him?
He's like, I'm out.
Checking out.
I'm done.
Yeah. She probably...
His heart gave out.
She probably manipulated my death too.
I mean, you know, maybe. We don't know. This woman is a conniver. She's probably... I wouldn't go to her house and let her feed you anything. That's for sure.
It's amazing to me how much effort and energy people put into scheming like this. Like, it is exhausting. This isn't Game of Thrones, right? It's not. What's the prize? What's the prize at the end of this?
There's no prize.
Is it idle hands? Does she need to join a goddamn book club? Like,
she does.
What is the issue here? She might have got this idea from book club.
She needs to play gin rummy. Get a gin rummy team. It's not going to change. You need to find someone whose mom is not in the picture.
What you need is an orphan. And then there's no complications with a mother-in-law.
Seriously, it's true. There are going to be other complications, but not another person.
Well, you're right. I mean, his problems with the way his mother-in-law is scheming everything aren't going to change if he gets divorced and ends up with someone else. It's just going to get redirected toward the new girl. Mm-hmm. Why are mothers-in-law so great? I have a great mother-in-law.
Yeah.
I'm very, very lucky. And every time I read these stories, I'm like, holy shit. Like, it could have been so bad. I assume guys don't know when they're getting into this, and girls don't know whenever they're getting into this with mother-in-laws. It's mostly the girls. Like, the guys, I don't see posts from guys about their issues with the mothers-in-law. It is always the daughter who married the son and his mom.
Baby boy.
Yeah, that's it. It's so all of you wives out there who have to deal with crazy mother-in-law stuff, I'm so sorry for you. But back to your previous point.
Yeah.
She didn't take the time, OP didn't take the time to think about how she could win.
Exactly.
And she could have won this situation by showing up and by not letting the mother-in-law pettiness get to her. I guess you have to have that thought process of, I get over myself for a second. How do I win this war? And if she's trying to win that war, she needed to put some thought into what she could do in order to achieve that. And that sounds like that's what she wants, but she just can't. Yeah. She can't ignore the impulses. Her pettiness
is too hard too.
Yeah.
Like, it's taken over. And, you know, honestly, like, my personal opinion is, in this situation, I think either solve the problem or eat shit and go support your husband, because it's pretty fooked up that he went and mourned the loss of his father because you were being petty. And I know that the mother-in-law is a biatch, but sorry, you know what I'm saying? And so anyway, like, this guy, that you can never take that back. Seriously, like, somebody loses their parents once and you're not there for them because, you know, and then handle it later. If you're not going to handle it up front, handle it afterwards, and just allow this person an opportunity to grieve, because he's not going to be on your side either, because you had an opportunity to show him that you were going to stand by his side, even though this was jacked up, and say, hey, just so you know, like, this is pretty messed up, but I'm here. I love you. I support you. We're going to drop it, but we are going to talk about it afterwards. Or don't add that and then just do. And come at it with a plan and not just bitching about it.
Right.
You know?
She chose herself over her husband and can never take that back.
Totally. And this wasn't the time. Like sometimes maybe that's a strategy, but this was not. This was not that moment, you know?
You chose the wrong time.
You chose the wrong time.
You chose the wrong time. Either his dad chose the wrong time to die, or you chose the wrong time to make this move. Those two things could not happen at the same time, and that's basically what we know.
And that's all we know.
And everyone's the asshole.
And everybody in the situation is an asshole.
Lots of assholes. They went to an asshole funeral.
They did.
I don't know if I can say that.
We don't know if he was an asshole or not, but he did marry this woman, and he knows what she did. So,
my goodness.
This poor man who's gone was maybe also an asshole. Is that a terrible thing to say?
I mean,
am I the asshole because I just called someone who is no longer with us?
Here's the deal. Whenever we do this kind of thing, I think we just have to accept that we are the assholes no matter what.
For sure. Always.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're the assholes. We're going to own it.
Yeah. I'm going to own it.